I'm gonna be honest, I don't usually like making reaction videos because I think it's kind of a lazy way of making content. But the way reaction videos have changed throughout the years, I'm gonna give myself some grace, especially since I actually like to give commentary and a lot of other people do nowadays. It's not just like the old ways of reaction videos where people just sit and watch the video all the way through and they just laugh here and there. Especially with this video, this is not really going to be a laughing matter. I think this is actually going to be one of the most important videos I react to on the channel. And this video is by, as I switch my scenes here, this video is by Comporio, and this was uploaded 12 days ago. And I had the pleasure of watching this last night, early in the morning, as I was not ready to fall asleep. And YouTube just recommended me some crazy things. And this video is titled, "The Elites Never Wanted You to See This Film." And I think you'll get some interesting insight into this film, and maybe it'll start turning some gears and cogs inside your head. So without further ado, let's get into it.
There are not many movies that can make you forget you are watching one while you are watching one. Movies that almost put a spell on you for 2 to 3 hours, where you are fully immersed in what can only really be called an experience.
Yeah, especially today, modern movies are just slop and propaganda. And that's why I don't really watch TV. I don't really watch new movies. A lot of the older shows and older movies, I kind of tend to go back and watch. One movie in particular that I like to rewatch a lot, especially since it impacted me as a child, was the original Raimi trilogy, the Spider-Man trilogy, the original Spider-Man trilogy. Sam Raimi, great film director, great storyteller, and Tobey Maguire, great actor. All that stuff. Just older films just hit better. They hit different. Newer films are just forcing an agenda onto you.
Eyes Wide Shut follows Bill Harford, a wealthy doctor living with his wife Nicole Kidman in New York. A lucky son of a bitch who starts freaking out when, the day after coming home from an upper class party hosted by his wealthy aristocratic patient and friend Ziegler, him and his wife get into a heated argument, and she reveals to him, while they are blazing it mind you, that she had an affair with someone else in her dream. What? So when he learns about this, he freaks out and goes on one crazy, spiteful adventure through New York.
I mean, what would you do if your wife said she cheated on you in your dream?
With the fact that he got cucked in his wife's dream.
I don't know how I would feel.
But it's the way the story unfolds,
mixed bag.
which gradually gets
mixed
more
bag of
and
emotions.
more extreme in the situations Bill gets himself into. He goes on a house call to a patient, and then the patient's daughter confesses her love for him.
I love you.
Right in front of her dad, who is literally dead, right there in the same room. And she's married. Get a grip, lady. So he leaves, and then gets assaulted by a group of frat bros. Then he bumps into a hooker called Domino, like the pizza, but he resists her advances and leaves. Then he walks into a random cafe and meets up with his old friend Nick Nightingale, so he can invite himself to a secret masked party in upstate New York. So he goes to get a mask and costume from this Russian guy's place and bribes him to open up shop in the middle of the night so he can get a mask and a cape.
$100.
Yes.
But when he goes inside, he sees that the owner's daughter is being pimped out to these 2 Japanese guys. Huh?
I'm afraid that's out of the question.
Then he rocks up to the party where a group of masked elites seemingly fulfill their wildest desires.
Haven't we heard this before?
Huh? But because he's an idiot, outed himself in front of all the masked elites.
Get undressed.
Oh boy. But luckily, they let him go in exchange for this mysterious woman who weirdly sacrificed her life for his.
Let him go.
Then he goes home and sleeps it off. Then, over the next 2 days, nearly self-destructs into his own paranoia and confusion about the whole situation as he tries to piece together the pieces of the puzzle which are all hidden in plain sight before him. When I explain it like that, it sounds simple. But like all of Kubrick's films, the devil is in the details.
Also, I didn't realize this film was made by Stanley Kubrick, rest in peace. as well. But I didn't realize he made The Shining as well. I saw The Shining. I'm not gonna lie, I fell asleep watching it. Maybe because I was bored, maybe because I was tired. I don't know. But I know he is revered as one of the best filmmakers and directors of all time. So might have to go back and rewatch it. Might have to watch this film as well. But if you know about the topics in this film, and I don't really need to watch it because I kind of already know that the stuff portrayed in this film is quite accurate. But we'll see what this guy's talking about in a second.
Is it merely a disturbing satire about a guy who gets blue-balled for 2.5 hours? Who is the man in the red coat? Is it about the fragility of marriage? Who is the masked man that nods to Bill? Is Bill being followed? Is it about the nature of desire and its potential consequences? What happened to Nick Nightingale? Did Kubrick make the film to make Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman divorce? Did he make this film to warn us about Scientology because he, in his wife's words, lost his daughter to Scientology? Why is Tom's tooth perfectly aligned in the center of his face?
That's a good question. Why is his tooth aligned in the center of his face? What happened?
You take the wrong turn at Balenciaga? Did that prostitute really just happen to die of an overdose, or was she murdered? Is this Bohemian Grove? Or is this entire movie just a subtle
Bohemian Grove mentioned?
Out to the spectators or the viewers, I guess an occultist would call them novices, who actually watched as the priest and their supporters engaged in this ancient rite. Now, you're looking at a little demon called PJ that was on the front of the actual program. It's kind of an Hieronymus Bosch style. He's got a little broom and a dustpan, and he's sweeping something up. Now, even more shocking is the figure of a human body burning in the flames. In fact, I've shown it to people that are experts in anatomy, to actual doctors, and they say that the anatomical size is that of a baby or small child. Notice how large the cranium is in comparison to the torso, that is the ribs. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is from the program itself, given out to the establishment lackeys witnessing these sinister activities. Remember, in Babylon and Tyre, they would throw their children into fiery pits. Look at the size of the hands compared to the rest of the body. Only children show these anatomical detail.
Day of the wealthy elite, which host sick, twisted parties on a realm the common man cannot even fathom. And when someone tries to speak out, they die under suspicious circumstances.
Yes.
Yes. What makes eyes
Wait.
suspicious circumstances? Yes.
You can see what this guy's alluding to. Who do we have here? DJT, Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. We've all heard about Epstein, right? He wasn't just the only guy. Let's get that completely straight. He wasn't the only guy. I think there will be some parallels in the analysis of this film to real life, and the question is always presented to us: does life imitate art, or does art imitate life? I believe it's the latter, but you can make that decision for yourself.
What makes Eyes Wide Shut so special, though, is its very weirdly crafted, dreamlike atmosphere. And how it draws you into what is this nightmare blunt rotation scenario, which is what leaves you to question if...
Oh, I would also like to mention that there was about 20 or 30 minutes of this film that was cut out. And also, mysteriously, Kubrick died before this film's release, which is very interesting. Because why would you make a film about elites having secret parties and then, you know, you disappear soon after making the film, but before it's ready to be released? And I'm surprised they released it as well, but that's a whole nother thing. You know, if you know, you know, but it's kind of like a serial killer that leaves a trail. They kind of get addicted, and they have this high and this enjoyment, this sick, twisted kind of enjoyment, telling people what they do, not super openly all the time, kind of in secret. You kind of have to put the pieces of the puzzle together, but nonetheless, they like to leave breadcrumbs because they think you and I are too stupid to ever realize what they're actually doing.
He rips up $100 notes like it's nothing. He is what most people would consider the 1% to be. But it's not.
I can't wait to get to that point where I'm so filthy rich that I can just rip up a $100 bill. I would never do that. But I do remember as a kid, I did rip up a $1 bill when I was upset. This is when I was like in preschool or kindergarten. So I'm sorry, Mom, that I wasted your legal tender. But that's a side note, irrelevant.
Those were not just ordinary people.
Is that just Lane again? And that's Elon, of course. Dots are connecting, but I don't know.
If I told you their names,
Epstein and Trump.
I'm not going to tell you their names.
Who's this? Epstein? I have no idea who that is. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is, but that face looks familiar. Is that Bill Gates?
But if I did,
there's Clinton.
I don't think you'd sleep so well.
I don't know who that is.
You can't be 100% certain. I never really got the vibe that this guy was trying to save Bill, but really just test.
If anybody in the comments knows who the people are that I didn't name, feel free to put the names down in the comment section down below.
The entire sequence is like 25 minutes long, but pacing wise, it feels like it's just 3 minutes because it so perfectly envelops the viewer into Bill's shoes that you just lose track of time with how fucking weird and mythical it is.
Please, come forward.
Its ambience, its vibe, and its setting is like a horror movie. There are so many subtle details that you completely miss because you are so caught up in the visuals and the way the scene is actually presented to you.
I'm glad he mentioned subtle details because that's the thing. It's all symbolism. It all is. And the people that do this in real life, because they operate off of symbolism. I'm not going to get into exactly all the symbolism. I'm not really going to dive too deep into that today. But if you do decide to dig down the rabbit hole, just know there are ways that they communicate to each other without the rest of the population catching on. Now, I do believe that in the big 2025, that us regular people are catching on to these symbolic acts, certain handshakes, hand gestures, code words, all those type of things. But it's very interesting to see how they even allowed this film to come to light. But I guess it ties into the whole, we're going to tell you, and maybe you'll figure it out, maybe you won't, but there won't be enough of you to figure it out to do anything about it.
Attendees. If you actually stop and analyze the masks themselves, each one is unique and tells its own story, which is just very eerie. Especially considering each one of these masks hides an elite or famous wealthy individual, which is clearly fiction and not ever representative of anything that
it's
has
totally
happened in
not
life
real,
ever.
right?
Actually, I don't know what I'm even talking about. This movie next. A lot of the masks are Venetian in nature. This mask looks like a plague doctor, which, the plague hit Venice pretty hard back in the 1300s. There's a Donald Trump mask. This mask, all the way back there, looks like George Soros. There's even
I do recognize that face. George Soros. What a lovely man.
Illuminati mask. Bill outs himself partly because he chooses the mask of a commoner, the Volto mask, which accentuates the eyes, whereas the other masked members have the eyes distorted or covered completely. Thematically, the masks themselves are important to the film's narrative and have symbolic purpose. It's all about cover-ups, and it's about the lies we tell to each other. Bill was already involved in a mini cover-up at the start of the film, at Ziegler's party when a prostitute, Mandy, has an overdose, and he calls in Bill to see if he can save the situation. Ziegler is shown to be a very wealthy and well-known individual.
I also just want you to know that the stuff that they did put in this film, if they're telling you about that, just imagine how much worse it is in real life and what they're actually not showing you. Just a thought.
All of the exterior shots from the outside
drip
of
goes
the
crazy.
mansion are actually from Mentmore Towers, which was originally built for the Rothschilds.
Ah, the Rothschilds. That's a name you should definitely look into. Definitely a wholesome family, and they have no ill intentions at all. Just saying, just the Rothschilds, just go take a deep dive. Go look.
The thing about Kubrick is that almost everything you see in the frame or the
intentional.
background is intentional,
Right.
more so than other directors. This is not the New York you are familiar with because it's not. Every exterior sequence in the city was shot on a soundstage in England, meaning that everything down to the buildings, the posters, the trash on the ground, the cars parked on the street, the extras are all intentionally placed there to look like that, for you to see, because that is the intention. Eyes Wide Shut is a film where every frame is a painting, every character a warning, and every scene a masterclass in atmosphere and tension.
This is a great analysis of this film, and I love it. I've never seen the film myself, and I might go watch it. And unfortunately, it's not the full vision that Kubrick had before he died, but it's something that we have and that we can use to deep dive and inform ourselves about some of the truths and the ugly truths about life.
1999 was without a doubt probably the best year for movies probably ever. You had The Sixth Sense, Toy Story 2, The Matrix, Austin Powers, The Blair Witch Project, Phantom Menace.
I think it's also interesting that The Matrix was released the same year as well. That The Matrix also tells a great story about reality as well.
Most of these people are not ready to be unplugged.
And I kid you not, there really isn't another movie that will make you feel indescribable strange emotions quite like this film will evoke in you to feel. What an incredible film to top off a career, and it's especially funny that the last word from this prestigious director is...
Fuck.
Wow. What a great video. Comporio, you outdid yourself, good sir. Let's look at some of the comments here. If Tom Cruise is in it, the elites definitely wanted us to see this film. Very good analysis. One thing to keep in mind is that Kubrick died shortly before the release of this movie, and from what I understand, changes were made to it. I don't know exactly what changes were made, but the point is that given that Kubrick was so precise in how he made movies, this particular movie cannot, in my opinion, be considered a true Kubrick film. Kubrick? My bad if I'm butchering his last name. When you consider how meticulous, I'm just going to say Kubrick. When you consider how meticulous Kubrick was as a director, that every scene, every frame is so deliberate, it makes my mind spin what could be in the footage that the studio removed. It's almost a lost cause trying to dissect this movie knowing that it's missing a huge piece. The fact this came out lets us know reality is much worse. Yeah, you can say that for sure. The first time I saw this movie, I almost knew nothing about it. I had drunk 4 to 5 pints of beer, one of the most amazing movie experiences I've ever had. There is something truly special about this movie. Kubrick was a next level genius. Immaculate film, and it's one of those conspiracies that just actually makes sense, considering how well everything mixes with what is shown. Also, Tom Cruise being in it is kind of ironic. Yeah, because isn't he in Scientology? That's interesting. It's a fine line. On the one hand, they don't want to be exposed. On the other hand, they get off on hinting what they do and knowing most people will not realize, hence the title Eyes Wide Shut. They allowed its release, but then probably felt Kubrick better go before he went any further. It would never get a release these days because people are too clued up. Exactly. The title itself, Eyes Wide Shut, what does that mean? Your physical eyes are open, but you are so blind by distractions, by propaganda, by what you believe people have told you, that you cannot see deeper. And this does go into the spiritual side of things. You cannot see with your spiritual eyes. You cannot hear with your spiritual ears to the actual true nature of the demonic things that are happening behind the scenes, or even to the, the good stuff, the heavenly things that happen. If you are not privy to the spiritual, how will you ever come to the full knowledge of reality? I feel like the parasites, new name for elites, are so powerful that they just don't care. They're essentially purposefully leaking sensitive information to rile up conversation for entertainment. They are laughing at us. They do want you to see Eyes Wide Shut and begin fearing them and their power. That's the thing. I don't fear them because there's only one entity that I fear, and that's Jesus Christ himself. So if you don't know him, today is better than any day to get to know him. Yesterday was better, but today is always good as well. The author, using the pseudonym Isaac Weishaupt, a former U.S. military computer intelligence officer turned podcaster and IT security specialist, wrote a book along with several others regarding Kubrick's work. He focused primarily on the esoteric aspects that were considered fringe in mainstream media. This book, called Kubrick's Code, reveals not only in-your-face details that many have missed in eyes, but also expands on Kubrick's work, going all the way back to Clockwork Orange as well as his other movie projects. Code is a fascinating read. In fact, most of his books are, including his research into hip-hop. He was one of the first authors to expose the U.S. Mafia's takeover of hip-hop, nearly from its inception, and the CIA's influence in the medium to promote violence in the lyrics, a part of the Operation Mockingbird program that was supposedly discontinued, then confronted by a U.S. Congressional Committee on National TV more than a decade prior. Yeah, I would search up Project Mockingbird. You can definitely find out about that. It's on Wikipedia, so, you know. Weishaupt outlines the Saturnalia, Luciferian, Baal, and Moloch influence over the course of human history to the present, with each belief system taking on different names contemporarily. Fanciful, yes. And although I grew up in the church and was very religious at one time, I'm an atheist now, yet the information and his research are cited and have been part of religious archaeology for centuries, if not millennia. One doesn't need to be spiritual or adhere to any one or more faiths. It's the people who perpetrate these religious crimes that do. Once you read the book and become aware of the symbology and iconography associated with these cults, many of which are supported or fostered by intelligence agencies from around the world, you will never see the same things again. So my plea to this guy: you don't need religion, you need God. You need a relationship with God. That's why these people do these things, because there is a true spiritual reality that these individuals inhabit. They do worship a God. It is not the God that created all things. They worship the God that inhabits this plane of existence known as the devil in the Bible. And the Bible is very true, and it is infallible. And it is the greatest written piece that we have ever received. And the more you dive in, the more you realize that it is more true than ever before. And it will never not be true. I'm going to leave the comments there at that. But definitely shout out to Comporio for this video. Link will be in the description down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope, even if you disagree with the points made in this video, even if you disagree with me, I hope that you can take these points and start doing some research for yourself. Or even if you don't feel like doing research, I hope that it made you think differently, and I hope you adopted a new perspective just to chew on even for a little bit. Take care.